Now we can start placing some cat and dog illustrations. So what we're going to do for the moment is we're going to place this large cat, and then we're also going to place this large dog. What we need to do is go to our stock art. So I'm going to open the resources folder, and inside the vector art folder there are a couple of illustrations here, and we can see that this one is cats and this one is a collection of dogs. So it really doesn't matter which one we start with. We might as well start with the dogs. So I'm going to open that up, and that opens up in Illustrator. And we just need to take a look at how this file is constructed, because we want to be able to use these individual dogs and change the color and the size and that sort of thing. So if I click on this right now, I see that there's a background and we don't need that. And these dogs are all grouped together. So what we can do is just Command C to copy that group. Go over to our infographic, Command V, and they all come in. But what we can do is just move these off to the side, because we're going to use some of these other dogs later. We're going to use this big dog right here. So I'm going to right-click and ungroup, and then click on that individual dog. And I just want to make sure that there's no stroke on that, and there's not. And the color right now is black. And we can just change that to one of our colors that we saved earlier. We're going to use the same color that we used in this colored bar. So I'm just going to click and drag over to fill, and that changes the color. And I would like to make this dog face the other direction. So I'm going to go over to my reflect tool, and I'm going to hold the shift key, and that'll lock it to 45-degree angles. And I just want it to face the other way. We can place this in position, so I'm going to get this about where it should start, and then I'm holding the shift key because it's really important that we don't distort our image. So again, we do not want to do something like this where we're squishing our image. We need to hold the shift key. It's very, very important. So it'll take a few tries to get this right, and I'm going to refer to the graph that I already created just to kind of see how I did this. We can always adjust this later. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time out. This is about right. I really want this forward ear to overlap the logo type to give this sort of a sense of dimension, but I don't want both of these ears doing that. So that looks kind of okay. Again, like I said, we can move this later. All right, let's do our cat. So we need to go back to stock art, find our cat illustration, open that up, delete the background because we don't need that. And if I click on the cat, now these are not grouped together. But what we could do is we could just click and drag over all of them, Command C to copy, go back to our cat and dog infographic, and I'll just copy these cats over here because we're going to use some of these later. And the cat that we're going to use for our logo area is going to be this cat that's sitting down, and I'm just going to drag my swatch over onto that cat, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to drag. I need to make sure I bring the fill forward and then drag the swatch over. And I'm going to position this one and resize it. I can right click to send to back and just resize and position this. I'm doing this according to my layout that I previously created. And I'm taking care to make sure that there's no awkward little areas here, little tangents or strange gaps. Now that we have the cat positioned correctly, What I'd like to do is mask out this tail that's going outside of our document. So we don't really have to do this because we're going to create a PNG image out of this document, and anything beyond the edge of the document is not going to show up on our PNG. But it does help for us to be able to visualize what our layout is looking like without the distraction of having objects going beyond the edge of the page. So what I'm going to do is create a mask, and I'm going to go to the rectangle tool. I'm going to click and drag so that I encompass my entire cat up to the edge of the document. So that tail edge is going to go beyond my rectangle. And we just want to make sure that's right to the edge. It doesn't matter what color our rectangle is. I'll change the color just so you can see that this rectangle is sitting on top of the cat. So this is what's going to be our mask. Anything inside of the rectangle is going to be visible, and then anything outside of the rectangle is going to be hidden. I want to make sure that this mask is sitting on top of the object that I'm masking, which is in this case the cat. I want to select that mask. I'm going to hold the Shift key and then select the cat so that both are selected at the same time. I'm going to right click, choose Make Clipping Mask, and now the tail is masked out. I'm going to do the same thing to this dog over here, and I don't want to grab these by accident, so I'm going to move them away. I'm going to make another rectangle. So again, I want this rectangle to cover everything, every part of my object that I want to be visible, and everything outside of that rectangle will be hidden. Again, I'm just going to make sure that goes right to the edge of my document. I'm going to make sure that the rectangle is selected, and it is, and then hold Shift, select the dog underneath it, and then right click, choose Make Clipping Mask. Alright, so when I created the mask, the cat object was brought to the front, so it's sitting in front of my text. So I'm just going to right click that and choose Send to Back. So if we did need to resize or reposition this object, so if I want to reposition this and I'm exaggerating, well, the tail no longer aligns with the edge, then I would just need to choose Release Clipping Mask, and then I'm able to move this and then create a new mask or reposition the original mask again. Another thing that we're going to do is, taking a look at the original version, is the it's kind of a negative area where the cat's ears overlap the colored bar on the top of the layout. They become a negative. So we can also do that with a mask. What I need to do is I'm going to Command C and Shift Command V my cat to make a copy, and the copy comes to the front. We're going to make this copy the same color as the background. We're going to make a copy of this colored bar to use as a mask, but what I need to do is to unlock the background layer so that I can select it. So let me select that, Command C, Shift Command V to make that copy. Let me put this copy onto our artwork layer, so I'm going to Command C and delete, lock my background, go to the artwork layer, Shift Command V to place that on top. With this copy still selected, I'm going to hold Shift, click on my copy of the cat, right click and choose Make Clipping Mask. And there we go. Now what did happen when I did that is that, see, for some reason it deleted my original mask. Okay, that's alright. I'll just go ahead and I will create a new one. Alright, so I'm just redoing the original mask of the cat. Send to back. And there we go. Now for the dog looks pretty good. But what I want to do is I just want to get rid of this little part of the ruled line that goes beyond that. I think that looks a little bit distracting. So again, I need to unlock my background, choose this ruled line, click on the end, hold the Shift key, click again, and I'm just going to move that so that it's hidden behind our artwork. And now that is looking pretty good. We're ready to go on to the next step. I'm just going to lock my background again.